Now, the authorities in Nigeria say at least 104 people have died after a fuel tank explosion in the northwest part of the country. It happened in the town of Ringim. This is in Jigawa state, just over 60 kilometers from the border with Niger. Dozens more people are in a critical condition. The police say the victims were collecting petrol, which was leaking from the broken down truck. A spark then triggered an explosion. Last month, another fuel tanker blast killed 48 people in north-central Nigeria. Okay, let's now speak to the BBC's Chris Ewoko, who is in Abuja, to tell us more. Chris, thank you for joining us on the program. Maybe start by updating us on the latest in terms of how many people have been affected by this particular disaster.
Well, right now, the current figure released by the police say 105 people, bodies were actually recovered from the scene of the incident, and it's hugely devastating for a large number of people. 70 people are affected in terms of injuries, varying degrees of injuries now in hospital. And there had been mass burial for those that were burned, many of them beyond recognition.
A lot to take in there, Chris. Given that this has happened repeatedly, I'm sure many are asking, has the government issued any action points or orders to tackle these deadly incidents?
At the moment, there's not been any reaction yet from the government. And this is a tragedy, disaster that kept recurring in Nigeria. I mean, remember, people are struggling with cost of living crisis here. Everything is high, so people are looking for different means of supporting themselves. So scooping fuel, especially free petrol, is one way they thought was to help themselves. But they were warned, according to the police, about a tragedy. Up till now, the government hasn't issued any statement. The government has also not said what it plans to do to avert such a future occurrence. But people here are mourning, and people are devastated.
Is there any pressure on oil companies to ensure safer transportation of their products?
Well, at the moment, I think the pressure really is on Nigerians who are struggling to buy fuel at a very high cost, and the high cost of petrol has also affected the cost of food production. So to a large extent, Nigeria do have roads. What I understand was that this tanker, the driver of the tanker lost control, probably as a result of the state of the road, and it somersaulted and ended up in a ditch, now spilling its contents on the road and the sewage, making people come into school. So the pressure is on the people. How can they come out of poverty and see that spillage of petrol is not a means of livelihood, or scooping petrol is not a means of livelihood, but rather a danger to their lives?
An interesting point that you raised there. Chris Ewoko, thank you for joining us with that perspective and update on the program.